How are things in, is it Istanbul you're in at the moment?
Yes, I live in Istanbul.
It must be difficult with social distancing in such a huge city.
I'm home all the time. It's not a big problem.
Yeah.
If I need grocery, they are bringing. You can order online. It's
Oh,
easy.
yeah. You could live in a little.
But it's a little bit boring, actually. But I
Yeah,
am home all the time.
yeah. What do you miss?
Sometimes I want to go jogging, but I say no, stay home.
Yeah, that's it. I'm surprised. It's exercise that I miss more than anything else. It really is. Yeah, I used to go to the gym fairly frequently, and I've become enormous and obese in the intervening periods. So I'm looking forward to exercising properly. And you're an English teacher yourself?
Yes, mostly I teach in kindergarten and primary.
Yep.
I work with young learners.
Yeah. How is that at the moment online? Is that difficult?
Of course, it's difficult because our students miss school. They want to play, but we are having some troubles
Yeah.
about the connection because sometimes they want to eat during the online lesson, or they want to show their toys. Oh, look at my mug! Look at my toy! Look at my baby
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's hard to make a serious lesson. Anyway, since they are kindergarten level, we're just having fun. We don't care that much.
Well, so I mean,
If we are having fun, our aim is not to lose the connection, actually.
yeah.
Not to teach all the time.
Yeah.
We are having fun. We are doing experiments, science experiments. We are playing games, learning songs.
Yeah. And have you noticed? I mean, on the subject, have you noticed? Do you get any dyslexic kids? Do you work with any dyslexic?
No, I haven't had before. But I had some students with learning difficulties. So sometimes they need professional help.
Yeah. And have you only ever worked with kindergarten children, or do you work with older students as well?
For 3 years, I'm working with only kindergarten level students. But before, I worked with primary school.
Yeah. And when you were working with primary school, teaching English, did you have any special techniques for teaching kids how to read and how to write?
Since it's kindergarten level, we don't spell too much, but of course we are seeing a lot of words, and we are trying to write the numbers, and we are trying to draw shapes.
Yeah.
But some kids are having more troubles, and they are struggling more according to the others. But actually it's normal at these ages because they are like 4 or 5. It's super normal to make mistakes. Or have some troubles there. They can struggle all the time, but sometimes when we realize that this kid is struggling more, or he cannot pay attention, no matter how hard he tries, he cannot do. When I recognize that as an English teacher, first I inform a homeroom teacher. Did you realize that the student has some problems about shapes, numbers? Did you realize that before? We have a short talk about it. Later, we talk to guidance counselor. What can we do? Can you make a little test about it? And later, we talk to the parents, and we discuss our roles to support the student.
What are those roles? So you say you discuss your roles. You first of all talk to a support teacher, then you talk to the parents, then you discuss roles. What sort of roles would they be?
First, we ask the parent to make some exercises at home for hand-eye coordination. They can support it. But even if they support, if the student is still having some problems, Then we discuss, do we need professional help or not? Is it too early, or what can we do? We discuss that. And most of the time they accept professional help. They go to a professional, and we also support it.
Yeah.
We communicate with the professional and what can we do for in the class or
And can I
at
ask,
home. How can we support him?
can I ask, when you say professional help, who do you mean? Do you mean a medical practitioner, or do you mean a special pedagogy teacher, or a speech therapist? Who would you go to for professional help?
Actually, the guidance counselor decides that, not me.
Okay.
I only share my observations with the parent and with the teachers.
And what is it that you're observing? What are you looking for? When you say a child is falling behind, a child has problems, a child has difficulties, what are these difficulties that you notice? Are they specific types of difficulties?
Sometimes I observe their drawings and I try to understand.
Yeah.
For example, I'm English teacher, but we are also having a lot of arts and crafts time. And I try to observe, is he having trouble, or is it just letters or shapes? Or, for example, if he's playing a game, or if he is trying to learn the rules of the game, if he's having some problems, I take my notes.
Mm-hmm. I've looked you up, as it were, and you worked also in Italy. That's true, is it?
Yeah. I worked with native kids.
Okay.
Italy.
Do you notice a difference between the way teaching is carried out in Italy and the way teaching is carried out in Turkey?
Mm-hmm. I think in Turkey we are too protective against kids. Like the kids shouldn't fall down, or you're a bad mother or a bad teacher. There shouldn't be a scratch. You should be careful. Otherwise, you're a bad adult. Why didn't you take care of the kid? But actually, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's hard to accept that because we are too protective, and it affects the kids' learning process, I think.
Yeah. When I was
we shouldn't be that protective. We can help, but we should stay back.
Yeah.
So he can learn, discover.
When I was a
in
child,
Italy, the kids were discovering, they were running, they were climbing the trees. There were also dangerous bugs around the forest.
Yeah.
It was a jungle school, forest school.
A jungle school.
Literally, yes. We didn't have a building school as a building. Okay. Yeah, it was nature school.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I would love to.
But they were like tiger cubs.
Yeah. And they have to come home with scratches.
I observed that they run fast, and nobody says, "Oh, don't run! Be careful!" Nobody says. Nobody warns them. The adults just stay there and sit down and just observe them.
Yeah.
If the kid needs help, they are always there to help. But if the kid doesn't need help, they just don't mind. They just observe because it's a learning process. Also, when they fall down, they cry, but after 5 seconds, they shush and go on playing.
Yeah.
But in Turkey, we are like, "Are you okay?" And the kids need more attention, and they continue crying.
Wrap them in cotton wool. Yeah, yeah. Does this difference in...
They cry like 1 hour.
They know they're going to get something.
Falling and getting injuries is normal.
Yeah. But in Italy, if a teacher sees a child struggling to learn, they just let the child get on with it. And in Turkey, you see a child struggling to learn and you immediately take action. Does it translate like that? Actually,
when I was in Italy, I didn't know Italian language, and also the kids didn't know English. So it was like a natural learning process, bilingual system. Also in my school, we have a bilingual system. Okay. The Turkish teacher never translates me. The kid has to understand. He should struggle. But in government schools, it's not like that. In most of the private schools, we are not allowed to communicate in Turkish.
Okay.
The translate method is not allowed. But in government schools, it's like that most of the time.
In your opinion, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do you think you should be able to communicate in Turkish, or do you think it should be only in English?
No, I think it should be a bilingual system.
Yeah.
If my language is not enough, homeroom teacher can help the kids.
Yeah.
But most of the time they understand me and we can communicate. If I translate or if a homeroom teacher translates what I say, then the students won't try to understand me. They will always choose the translate method.
Yeah,
because it's easier, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We have to push them.
Yeah. Can I ask finally? I'm interested in the idea of stigma, the idea that maybe in one society or another society, dyslexia may be looked at in a negative way or a positive way. Would you say there's any stigma about learning difficulties like dyslexia in Turkey? Or is it looked upon positively or negatively? Or do people not think about it too much?
Some people can think it's a negative thing, but it can be positive too. But they can learn slower according to others, comparing to others, but maybe their creativity or other skills can develop more comparing to other students. I'm working with young learners, so we are not pushing them to learn fast. Of course, there are fast learners and slow learners, but our aim is to help them to have a great time and develop their friendship skills, social emotional skills. But when they are in primary or middle school, of course, they have to achieve academic success. But in kindergarten or in the first grade, we don't aim to push them to learn fast or learn a lot. They can learn less or they can learn slower, but we just need them to play and communicate with others and talk in front of others in a classroom.
I honestly think that's probably the best thing that they could be asked to do.
Yes, self-confidence. We are trying to develop self-confidence.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, how is it in your country? I had a little research and I learned that I didn't know it before. In my country, if a kid has learning difficulties, our government helps the family. They encourage them to go to and take some extra help from special education centers, and it's for free. And sometimes government pays a little money to the parents if they need. And it's nice. I didn't know it before.
Yeah.
So how is it in your country?
It's not like that at all. The British,
really?
Yeah, the British have got a relatively sort of progressive notion of dyslexia. We kind of think of dyslexia in a relatively progressive way, and yet there is little help available in secondary schools. Primary schools are great, and universities are usually very good, but secondary schools, which are academically very important, there's almost no help. Schools often push back against a diagnosis of dyslexia because they're frightened it will cost them money or something. If you can't get a school to give you a test, you have to get one privately, and these tests cost anywhere between £400 and £700, which for a lot of people is just too much money. There is no money from the government. Occasionally, a child may get given special help, like a pen reader, an e-reader, or something like that. But there's no real support.
I understand.
So yeah, in Britain, I mean, I've looked at Turkey, and the Turkish view of dyslexia is remarkably positive, actually. It's remarkably forward-thinking. The only thing I'm surprised about, I don't know whether you realized, but if you look at the figures in Turkey, the number of officially diagnosed Turkish people with dyslexia is 41,500, which translates into less than 1% of the population. And that's the only surprising thing about Turkey. Everything else, it's a very progressive system. It helps people with dyslexia. There are structures in place for people with dyslexia. And I would say probably better than we have in Britain.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad that in the past, people were unconscious about this. They were ashamed and afraid to go to hospital. But in the present time, people are conscious. Parents are not afraid or ashamed to go to hospitals, doctors to diagnose their kids. In the past, these kind of kids were considered as lazy or dumb, but nowadays they're just considered as kids with special needs. So we try harder to help them and gain them.
Yeah.
And it's nice. The teachers, the parents, also the doctor, or also government, we are all in cooperation. And it's nice.
Yeah.
We don't lose kids.
I remember it very well when I was at school. My entire time at school, I was looked upon as lazy and dumb and slow and not trying, and it was horrible. School life was just horrible for me. And I was so glad when I dropped out of education and became unemployed. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And then I went back in and dropped out and went back in again and finally got to university.
Also, I wasn't a good listener. I never listened. I was always drawing something on my notebooks on the desk.
Yeah.
I was painting all the time. I wasn't listening. We are just kids. But the teachers and the parents shouldn't forget this.
Yeah. And they do. They.
I don't have to learn math. I don't have to learn history. Here to have a good time. Like, education shouldn't be a torture.
It should be fun, shouldn't it? Learning should be a good thing.
Exactly,
it should be something people want to do. Yeah. No, for me, learning was the very idea of learning made me feel sick. Going to school, having to go to lessons, it was awful.
Homeworks, I cannot imagine how much pressure on them. Like, when I was a kid, I had less homeworks. Really. I support interactive lessons. Like, I am not that active in the classroom. Students are more active than me. I just lead the lesson, and we play a lot of games, and we do a lot of science experiments. So they discover, they learn.
Yeah.
They create their own materials.
How do you do that online? How easy is it to be interactive online? That must be really hard.
Actually, you just plan, and we are planning like 1 week ago or 1 month ago our lessons, and we just prepare some materials, and we just give some tasks to students, and they try to do it.
I looked at your website. It's lovely. The YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I started like 3 weeks ago, and actually I was just preparing them for my class, remote education and I decided to share with all the kids all around the world.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And look, thank you. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Stigma.
Thank you.